What bothers me the most about sports card influencers is how out of touch with reality they are. They basically live inside a bubble and pretend they are like you and me, except that they're just pretending and they don't actually understand what's going on. What Geoff tried to do with this post is signal, I understand, except that he does not understand what's going on. So here's the problem. At this point, there are only 3 types of people who will actually buy wax. And tell me if you fit into one of these 3 categories: suckers, breakers, and gamblers. If you're a collector, you already know to stay away from wax because it's completely insane. The prices have gone absolutely ludicrous. And that's the problem, not just for you, the collector, but for the entire hobby, because part of the fun of collecting was actually ripping wax. As for Geoff, he thinks the solution is to manufacture a customer-friendly set price, except what does that really mean? This is a box of 2025 Topps Chrome, right? So this is from last year. Now this has 28 cards in it. So what should it cost you? Well, realistically, if this was a customer-friendly price, this should only cost you $10. But what does it actually cost? And the answer is $40. Sound crazy to you? Now, here's a hanger box. Let me show you. So this is 2026 Topps Basketball Hanger Box. There are 59 cards in here, so it should cost you $15. But what does it really cost? The answer is $25. And this is part of the problem that Geoff doesn't seem to understand. This is the difference between inside voice and outside voice. What Geoff did with this post is he thought that he could get you to go, oh, Geoff cares. When the truth is, Geoff is trying to run a business. And the last person that he wants to call out is Topps and Fanatics. Because the problem isn't breakers. The problem isn't flippers. The problem is Topps and Fanatics, who are driving up the price of these boxes so far above what's normal and reasonable because the only people they care about are the gamblers. They don't care about you, the collector. Because if they cared, then they would want to actually grow the real hobby, not the casino. And that's the real story underneath this whole post, which is that Michael Rubin bought Topps because he saw a golden opportunity to turn a sleepy little collectible into the biggest casino in the world. And why are casinos great? Because the house always wins, which means that you always lose. The problem is that this hobby was supposed to be for kids, and now kids are losing. The only way for you to get one of these top-end cards is to gamble. That's it. I mean, there's no other way to get it because the cards are so expensive, no one can afford them. So really what you're doing is buying a lottery ticket. You're saying, okay, I will, and first of all, just for everybody who is new to this hobby, if you buy one of these boxes, you are not eligible for the $1 million bounty cards. You cannot get them. The only way to get a $1 million bounty card is if you spend $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, up to $5,000 on basically a hobby box that you are really just throwing your money away because you're never going to get that value back unless you get the bounty card. And there's only one bounty card. So you're just legitimately gambling. And this is why I had to make this video, because I'm like, why is Geoff making this post? That's the inside voice, not the outside voice, Geoff. Stop talking. We get it. You have Cards HQ. But here's what I want everybody to understand is we're in a bubble, a pandemic-like bubble. Again, I know it didn't take that long to get there, but we are running very hot. So what's the moral of this story? Because again, what's the whole point? The moral of this story is that we are going to run into the same problem we ran into in 2023. Right now, everybody is doing well, including Geoff Wilson and Cards HQ, because the prices or the value of these cards keep going up and up. At some point, that has to stop. Like, I'm sure all of you understand that. At some point, the card values can't just keep going up. They have to stop. Even in a normal market, there's always something called a correction. Now, from the pandemic boom to 2023, that's actually what happened. Card prices went up like 400%, and then we had an 80% correction. The problem is that the 80-cent correction, which was a legitimate crash, the prices were still more than what they were pre-pandemic. But the problem is that that 80% crash pushed out all of the people with excess money, because they're like, well, if I can't make a quick buck, then I don't want to buy these cards. And you were left holding cards that were no longer worth what you thought they were worth. And this is the underlying issue in this hobby, which is the part of the message that I keep saying, is that if you keep believing that the cards are only worth what someone will pay for them, you are in big, big trouble. And this is the reason why. Because if you put into your mind this mantra, this brainwashing, basically phrase, the cards are only worth what someone will pay for them, it has to go both ways. You can't just go, well, the cards are worth what someone will pay for them, only on the buyer end. You have to do it on the seller end too. And most of you refuse to do that. I see it on eBay. I see it on Veriswap. I see it on Reddit. I see it on all of your channels. You all want to overinflate the price of your cards, going, well, but it only is worth what someone will pay for it. And yet you're not listening to what someone will pay for the cards. There are a lot of cards that I would actually buy, except that the person selling the card doesn't seem to want to listen to an offer. So, is the card worth what someone will pay for it, or is the card worth whatever you say it's worth? And that's not a market. That's just called a flea market, and this is not really this is not the stock market anymore. This is your collectible going, well, I think it's worth X amount of dollars. That's not how this works. If you guys keep saying it's worth what someone will pay for it, because then it's not according to you. And this is where everybody seems to be getting confused. It can only be one way or the other. You have to pick a lane. So if you want to say the card's only worth what someone will pay for them, then you have to listen to legit offers. That's just the way it goes. And if you only get one offer in 6 months and it's 50% of what you think the card is worth, then you're wrong. You don't know what the card is worth. If you get no offers, you really don't know what the card is worth. So why are you rejecting offers? And for you to go, well, it's 50%, so it's not a legit offer. How many other offers are you getting? If you get no offers, you're the one that's off. That's the moral of the story. Geoff doesn't know what these boxes are worth. Like I said, this is only worth $10. This is worth 15. Okay, so this is the basketball. That's it. 10, 15. What are they actually selling for? Way more than that, which means anybody buying them is wasting their money. Think about it. You don't have to buy one of these boxes for $40. You don't have to buy one of these boxes for $25. Just go and buy the cards that came out of it for less, because the cards are not worth what the boxes are selling for. And that's the problem. That's the bottom line. I want to thank you for joining me. My name is Doc. This is the channel that makes sense of sports cards, and life. And I will see you